A developing threat tonight to hundreds of thousands of veterans. The Persian Gulf War happened 30 years ago this year, and many of the men and women who fought in that short conflict suffer long-lasting consequences. KFDM's Angel San Juan joins us tonight in the studio to tell us why the veterans face health risks greater than ever before.
Research shows that as many as 300,000 veterans have Gulf War syndrome, a chronic illness with a wide range of debilitating symptoms resulting from toxins the troops were exposed to on the battlefield. These toxic wounds are now putting them at greater risk for COVID-19. Mary Williams finds peace visiting veterans memorials. This one at the Ben J. Rogers Visitor Center in Beaumont is one of her favorites, dedicated to veterans from all of the armed forces.
So the Army is all the way in the front.
The Dishman Elementary librarian does not need books to teach her students about serving your country.
I absolutely tell all my students about my military service.
She has real-life knowledge. Williams is a U.S. Army veteran.
Very proud of my service. I did 10 years active duty, so I'm very happy of my service to our country.
Williams will turn 50 this year and was only 19 when she enlisted.
It was scary. I had left home like really right out of high school from Bridge City. I'm a Bridge City Cardinal girl, and just to enlist in the military, not even knowing that there was a war even on the verge of happening at that time.
Whitney Houston's iconic rendition of the national anthem had great meaning to Williams at the time.
I remember watching that from a tent in Riyadh.
In a tent as part of Desert Storm, an operation aimed at driving Iraqi troops out of Kuwait after Iraq's leader Saddam Hussein ordered the invasion of the neighboring nation. American troops, including Williams, accomplished their mission quickly, but their toxic wounds would last much longer.
Because of the chemicals that we were breathing over there, the oil fields were on fire over there, literally, on the front lines, and we were exposed to those chemicals. And there was no telling back then. Now, this is before all the internet and everything came out, really. And so we weren't sure of what we were breathing.
What's become known as Gulf War syndrome affects as many as 300,000 veterans, including Williams.
Pre-existing conditions that we have to live with for the rest of our lives.
The chronic disorder involves a wide array of conditions, but an overall diagnosis remains a mystery.
There are a lot of questions to be answered still 30 years later.
But what is known for sure about Gulf War syndrome is that it compromises the immune system, damaging the lungs, causing respiratory problems, which puts these veterans at higher risk for the COVID-19 virus.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, we've always been trying to figure out who's more at high risk.
Dr. Masanti Levine says because of their toxic wounds, Gulf War veterans should take all of the recommended steps to prevent exposure to the coronavirus, including mask wearing, hand washing, and social distancing.
Obviously, anytime you've had any sort of insult or injury to your lungs and you're left with some scarring or some dysfunction of your lungs, that certainly you're more of a high-risk patient, because that's primarily where the virus attacks, is the lung tissue.
Williams says many times, though, healthcare providers might not be aware of the hidden symptoms of Gulf War syndrome and not know the increased threat of COVID veterans face.
If we check into those hospitals and we're in a trauma situation, those nurses are not even going to be able to know that we are a disabled veteran or that we are a veteran, period, unless we have our card on us or unless we have an ID tag on us showing that.
Williams advises veterans to be their own advocates because they know their bodies better than anyone. In order to document her health issues, Williams keeps her veteran health identification card on her at all times. She wants all veterans to be victorious in this latest battle against an invisible enemy. Veterans are encouraged to take full advantage of healthcare opportunities, including telemedicine, which is increasingly available. And if you go to this special report on our website, you will find links to health resources for our veterans. Just log on to KFDM.com. Tiffany?